Hey everybody, Scout Crafter here again. Today we have a nice little project, a little egg beater drill, which I'm sure you've seen hundreds of restorations on them, but it's always a good practice session, so let's get started.
Today's project is this nice little hand egg beater. They used to call these egg beater style drills, and you can see the condition that this one is in. You know, it's rusty, it's jammed. It's probably because the grease is all gunked up or whatever in there, but that's usually no problem. And you can see the handle. We'll address all that. And otherwise, it looks like a nice little project for today. And they have a countersink bit in here, and we'll save that. So let's get started. Here's a quick tip. Now this chuck is frozen on here, so we have to grip the threads here or the gear, they're attached, and unscrew this. Now you don't want to put any pressure on the gear. You could chip one of these teeth, so you want to grip it by the threads. Now there's a couple ways you could do it, but what I found is I take these old scrap pieces of wood that I have, I drill a hole that's about the same size as this threaded area, and then snap it in half, and now you have a clamp that you could put around here and put it in your vise, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, we have the drill into the vise. We have that piece of wood around the threads. This is still movable, but as you can see, this is locked. It's not moving. Now we're going to take a strap wrench, nothing more than like any other strap wrench, pull it tight around here, and then we'll lift it up, and hopefully that'll free it. Okay, there it goes. And you could see this is a fine thread, so it usually don't get too gunked up, but that would make easy work. Here we are. We have to, this is frozen. It's not spinning at all. It's supposed to turn here to tighten up the chuck, but it's not. So if you try and clamp this with anything, you're going to mess up this knurling, and that's something we don't want to do. So what we do is took a piece of wood here and bored a 1-inch hole down there, which is just about the size of the chuck, you could see, and then we cut it here with a saw on both sides. So now when we put this into the vise, it'll clamp around, give equal pressure, and allow us to hold it. Okay, now it's clamped into the vise. We have all we need is a piece of steel that we could put in there to clamp it to turn this. We'll also be able to add some heat, not having to worry. This is a scrap piece of wood, so we can add some heat, some penetrating fluid, whatever we have to, but at least now we don't have to worry about screwing up that knurling. Okay, we got the chuck apart, and it wasn't easy, let me tell you, but we were able to get it apart, and now we're going to clean this up, clean everything up, get the chuck all done, do our wire brushing, and come back after that. We're at our post wire brush evaluation. Couple things here. Everything's coming well as expected. You know, these castings cleaned up. Inside here, the little bit of rust that you can't get with the regular wire brush, I'll come in with the Dremel and I'll get in between the teeth here. That always helps. Obviously, we're going to paint the inside here again. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that, but everything else is looking really nice. The chuck is all apart. I'll talk about that in a little while. And for the handle here, one quick tip. You cannot touch this part with a wire brush. It'll really screw up the wood. So what I like to do is take an old soda can and cut off a strip and then wrap it around here. So this way, when you want to get close with the wire brush, you don't have to worry about damaging the wood. So you hold it like that, and then you can get in close with the wire brush. So let's get going. Now we're reassembling the chuck, and how that works is there's 3 lobes in there, and those springs hold the lobes apart, and there's a little pressure plate that goes in on top of those 3 lobes like that. Now when the threaded air part of the drill presses against that, it pushes. When you screw the chuck in, it'll push those lobes out and close it onto the shaft of whatever you're putting in there. So that's how that works. Now you really don't want this unscrewing when you're trying to unscrew it from the drill. So when I'm assembling this, I'm going to put some medium strength thread locker, Loctite, around the inside, put it on, and then we're good. Now, the whole reason that this drill wasn't working well is because the grease that was dried up in here. So I sprayed some penetrating fluid and using some Q-tips. You could see that's the problem. That's what we had. So you're going to have to keep doing this until you have absolutely clean Q-tips coming out of there. You know, get all that grease and gunk out of there, that all dried up. The penetrating fluid will loosen it up and make it very easy to come out. If it's really difficult, you can do like my friend Alan from Curiosity Forge had suggested. You get some gun cleaning. If you have some gun brushes, that they're spiral brushes that you can use that will get it out. But if you just do it like this with some penetrating fluid and some Q-tips, eventually that'll come out and all that grease will come out of there. When the surfaces are nice and clean on both sides, inside that barrel and here, it should spin very freely. Now you have no problem. Now we use paint stripper and a razor blade to get the finish off. Then we buffed it out to look like nickel. And you know my favorite part, you remember what it looked like before we started. And we are calling this project done. Now, you can see what we did. We went through the entire drill and brought it back to as new condition, including, this is the original stain that I was able to get that poly whatever coating they had, varnish, shellac, whatever they had on there. I was able to get off with just using a razor blade and scraping it off. And then coating it with shellac and then a clear coat. And painted it back to the original red. Now this model is a Mohawk-Shelburne, and you can see here. It's made in USA, Mohawk-Shelburne. Goodell Pratt acquired Mohawk-Shelburne in about 1931. And they continued with these. These were really high quality drills for a single speed egg beater style drill. You could see that they didn't spare any expense with the quality hardwoods they used. And they used a nickel finish and quality castings around. So you remember how it was very stiff when we got it, and now it runs like it should. And now there's two oil holes here. Now you'll see there's a hole here, that's for oil. A drop of oil you would put every so often. On the other side, that little screw holds the armature in that holds the chuck. So that's what that's for. And if you look at over here, you'll see another oil hole on this side of the handle right there. That little hole is for another drop of oil, and that's the armature that the gear rides on. So there's only two oil holes here that you had to oil. And again, oil is the way to go. You wouldn't want to use grease or whatever that was in there. And really happy with the way this came out, especially the handle and just the whole look of the drill. Let me show you how it works. Okay, now as I said before, when to operate this chuck, as you screw the chuck down, you see the jaws will come up and close and pinch the bit. So you would open it up to the approximate size. Here we're going to use a brad point bit, slide the bit in, and get it snug. Then you're going to grab here, you're going to grab the gear train and give it a good turn so that that's snug in there. Now you are ready to go. And just like any other drill, you would put it up against the work and give it a good RPM, give it a little bit of moderate pressure, and you'll be through this 3/4 inch piece of wood in no time. Nice clean hole, still works really well. To remove it, same way, grab the gear and then just turn the opposite way and the bit comes out. So in case you were curious, I paid $2 for this drill at a flea market, and again, it's restored to the original condition of the way it was. I hope you enjoyed this restoration. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.